Good evening. Welcome to the Leaders Edge Season 3, Episode 9 talk show. Tonight, we are honored to have a special guest, Mr. Musharrof Hossain, who will talk about digital communication skills for young leaders. Allow me to introduce our guest to all of you. Mr. Musharrof garnered his Master of Continuing Education, major in Leadership and Organization Development from the University of Calgary, Canada. He's a PhD scholar with 35 years of experience with international organizations. He is currently the head of human resources with an international health and population research organization and the current president of HR Federation in Bangladesh. An editorial advisory board member of the South Asian Journal of HRM, Mr. Musharrof was the past president of Asia Pacific Federation of HRM and the Bangladesh Society for Human Resource Management. He was a board member of the World HR Federation and a recipient of many international awards, including a Lifetime Achievement Award. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest, Mr. Musharrof Hossain. Good evening, Mr. Musharrof.
Hi, good evening. Nice meeting you through web.
Perfect. How are you? How are you tonight? It's really a pleasure to have you with us.
Yes, I'm just fine, and it brings me 30 years back when I was in Manila for doing some of my post-graduation study at the AIM in Manila, and I was also in Baguio City for some time. So I am just remembering those golden days 30 years back. So I'm very much thrilled of seeing
Mr. Musharrof, I am from Baguio. I was born and raised in Baguio. Isn't it such a small world?
So nice city. It's the second capital of your country and summer capital, maybe.
Okay. So I believe you have prepared some slides for us.
Yes.
And we are now on, and we're really waiting, very much waiting for your presentation for us tonight.
Thank you, Grace, for your very generous introductions about myself. Probably I don't deserve like this, but I'm very, very happy and grateful to you for making such a wonderful introduction about myself. So thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to make a presentation on the digital communication skills for young leaders. You know, the whole world is now running digital, and fortunately, many countries, particularly developing countries, we are not up to the mark in terms of our digital skills and competency. And I thought that this could be an emerging issues to share with you and the audience. So I have a little presentations. If you allow me a few PPT, and then I'll run my presentation, and then at the end, definitely there will be scope for any question and answer which might be necessary. So this is the world, what is going to be happening in 10 years time. If you see a flashback, even the last 250 years, you'll not find a lot of change. The change we are foreseeing, predicting in next 10 years time. You see, this is the incredible time is coming up, and in the video, in the slides, what you have been watching, it is all, is a digitalization. You see, skies, building, everything is digitalized. So when this is coming, we have to ready, and our young generation should also be ready for facing and working in this environment. I think this is the robot Sophia. Everybody knows about Sophia. So you know that she is able to answer question related to 12,000 programs complete in her brain. And she's a machine. And the reason behind I am showing that this kind of robotic environment is also coming. Lot of human jobs will be replaced by the robots. In many international airports, this kind of robots are answering all the routine jobs. So this is the digitalization already we have in the world. You see the driverless car is not an uncommon issue. This is coming. So you see a lot of opportunities will be there, but you will be also witnessing a lot of unemployment problem with the drivers group. That is the issues is coming. You will find a lot of private jet. The millennials people, the millennium people, they will not be using, multimillionaire will not be using the passenger flights. They will have their own jet. So this is coming. And you see, these are the digitalization coming, and we should be able to work in this environment. I remember I had to go up to Manila for my classes, but now I am teaching from Bangladesh to Canada, Somalia, and even in Papua New Guinea, and we don't need to move. So this is the world is coming, and we have to adopt all this technology and the social media in order to run it. You see, these are the people has changed the world. These people are the business leaders, but they have changed the whole world. And I don't need to introduce any of them. But you see, the Mark Zuckerberg, at the age of 14, he has introduced an incredible innovation, which is Facebook. And now the whole world is under Facebook, and there is a prediction in 5 years' time, Mark Zuckerberg may be the richest person in the world. So you can see the success is no more linked with your age. Success is no more linked with your position. It's all about your innovation and creativity. All the leaders' pictures I'm showing here, they are successful because of their landmark, incredible innovation. And all those people have the growth mindset. They do not have the fixed mindset. And I emphasize, we need our young generation to have the growth mindset so that they can adapt the changes very frequently, very quickly, because change is happening so rapidly nowadays. It will be very, very difficult for the people who are of the fixed mindset to adapt to the situation. Like the world is changing in every second, and we need to adapt in every second. Using this technology was not available 10 years before, but now this become a daily life. And you see, what are the skills digital leaders needs? First skills is the communication should be through using technology. Communication, there is no other way. Face-to-face communication is almost impossible. Written communication is also a little bit less priority. Now, a lot of interactions, face-to-face interactions through using the technology is necessary. And when I am saying this, that there are 4 parties in organization. One is organization itself, another is the leaders, employees, and the customers. All need to be tech savvy. Your customer need to be tech savvy. Your employees need to be tech savvy. Your leaders should be tech savvy. Organization itself should be able to offer its service and product through digitalization. So you see, the whole environment in the organization, whole communication system will be 180-degree opposite change. That will change the whole paradigm. So if your customers are not tech savvy, if your employees are not tech savvy, then you have to fix it. As a leader, your success fully depends on the success of the organization of the company. And the success of the company depends on with a lot of other people, like even the external people. Your customers are not within your administrative control. And then organization and the leader must have a digital vision. What kind of digitalization you are forcing for your organization? And that is very, very important. Unfortunately, I do not have that much idea about Philippines, but I have good idea in Bangladesh. Most of our leaders are X-generation leaders or baby boomers leaders. They seriously lack the digital skills and the digital visions. That's the problem. And that problem we have to soon overcome. Either those X-generation leaders or baby boomers leaders, they have to acquire the digital competency, or very unfortunately, they have to be replaced by the young generation. Here is a survey conducted by MIT and the Harvard Business School. What they have done, they have chosen 1,000 CEOs, and 90% of those CEOs said that digital communication is very, very important, but 70% of them are not able to adapt to the changes. This is the very powerful information here. And that information is the reality in the world. It is not only Philippines or in Bangladesh. This is the world situation, a survey conducted by two renowned universities in the US. And what kind of skills, the digital leaders might have? All information, data, and content should be digital. Teaching, learning, self-development in the organization and university should be digital. Communication, collaboration, participation should be using digital platform. Digital identity should be there. Your well-being, safety, and security of the digitalization. A lot of cyber crime, lot of anarchy can happen. So you have to also keep your digital system safe and secured. And everyone in the organization, from A to Z, everyone must have the technological proficiency. And as HR professional, when we hire people, we should give a special emphasis to test their digital skills before even hiring. And then organization will be placed where you have to have a daily creation, innovation, and do a lot of business research in order to survive. So this is the survey conducted by MIT and the Harvard Business School, and they have revealed the real scenario of the world. And if you see, as an organization, you have to develop the strategy and the digital culture. Culture is very, very important. If you see success of the company depends on three things: your strategy, which is the driving force, your culture within the organization, and the technology. You have to integrate your business with the technology. So you have to have a strategy, you have to have a technological capabilities and processes, and you have to have the right cultures. Unfortunately, we have a wrong culture in many of the organizations. We do not have the culture of embracing change. As you have introduced me with the audience, that I also served in the World HR Federation board for 5 years. We have conducted a survey and we found that 82% of the employees in the organization, they resist for any change. So you can imagine 82% of the existing employee resist for any changes. And I'm saying that everybody should be a change savvy person. So what are the challenges you see? As a leader, you have to motivate and convince those 82% in order to convince them that they have to embrace the change. They have to buy in, and they need to collaborate. Lot of organization, very hierarchical management, they do not work in the team. Organization structure is very tall. So we have to introduce something, the very flat structure, and the people should be collaborating with each other. And that kind of thing should be necessary. In terms of technology, you have to literally ban the paper use in the organization. You have to do some resistance. Like you have to cut down all the printers. You don't need the printers. You cut down the paper and people will be bound. Some of the change people will only adopt if they're bound to do. If you give a choice, some people will do it, some people will not do it. Let's see the innovation. Sorry. Tesla. You have heard that the Tesla CEO became the richest person in last month. And they have 134,000 order. Why Tesla is so popular? Because it is innovative, it is less costly, it has less fuel consumption, less repairing cost. So world become very much interested to take those, and they said they're pending order. And because of this huge demand, this company owner became the richest person in the world in 2020. So innovation is a power. How it is possible? Because of the risks taken by them, the leaders. And here is a quote from Mark Zuckerberg. He's saying the biggest risk is not taking the risk. Most organizations, they don't take the risk. So you have to be bold, you have to be brave. Otherwise, risks will not be taken. And they look at the adaptability issue. There is no end of the adaptability. In my old days, I never thought about the smartphone. In my childhood, I never thought about the smartphone. But you see the transformation and you have no idea, I have no idea what is next. But we have to be ever ready for adaptive, whatever is coming up in order to survive. And very honestly, all those things what I have discussed is possible only with the most talented people. And the talented people are, by definition, is very short supply. So the golden egg is only one. There are many eggs. Golden eggs is only one. So we should be able to find out the real talent from the crowd. Otherwise, we might be making a big mistakes. So if you see the making effective communications, you need these 8 areas. This is the key slides for me. A messaging. There was a time we had no problem to wait a week for a letter. Now we are not even ready to wait for 1 hour. So instant messaging system should be a system in the organization. So the young leaders should be instantly communicate through email, through whatever medium, messaging, WhatsApp, whatever you choose. In many organizations, they have a choice, but since I'm not making this presentation for any particular organization, so I'm giving you the options, but the messaging should be faster enough. It should be now. It should not be tomorrow morning. Second thing is the productivity. We have to very much careful about communicating how to improve the productivity by each and every individual in the organization. And we have to use technology in order to measure the productivity, in order to measure the KPI, in order to measure the success. So our means of communication should be using some technology to measure the productivity. Success, failure, survival, everything of the company depends on the productivity of the employees in the organization. If you have 100 employees and one person has issue with the productivity, that will impact negatively with the 99%. So we cannot we cannot excuse even one person for demonstrating less productivity. So that is the issue here. We have to collaborate. Time has come to work together. Practical management, lot of supervisor, but now the successful organization introduced self-directed team. And using the technology, using the, means we have to, like teamwork. You don't need to sit together. You sit through using the Zoom or any other technology, messenger group, and do it. In order to do this, so we need a digital collaborations. All the collaborations with the customers, clients, colleagues should be through digital. Communication itself will be through digitalization. You have to support information sharing or internal publishing. You have the internet, you have the blog, you may have personalized shows, and you have to have a homepage. So we have to use all of them in order to really make our communication system digital. And then business applications should be digital. In HR, we use a lot of software, ERP and other issues. Still in Bangladesh, there are organizations, they have no ERP. So what I'm suggesting that all the business applications from order receipt to delivery, from raw material to final product, from information to delivery of the services, everything should be linked with the technology. I don't know whether you have the food panda. In Bangladesh, we have the food panda. You order your food, they will deliver it to your home. So everything in your mobile text. Then cloud sourcing is coming. That is more powerful digitalization approach is coming. And this might change the whole paradigm of many of the organization. And there is a book written by probably Jim Collins, The World is Flat, Organization is Flat. So you will not find any building, all the organization exists in the digital world, and that will be the life. You have a 4,000 employees, your people are working across the world, but you can connect them any time of the day. And you have to have a mobility. You have to have a mobility. You see, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, many organizations, including Twitter, they declared they will never go back to. Mm-hmm. When I call the mobility means that you have to be able to communicate everything from anywhere from the world. Like the organization I am currently working, our chief boss in Korea, some of our directors in Australia, some of the people in Spain, some in America, some in UK, but we are working. So we have to increase the mobility to using different technology, and we should able to work from home in some situation, work from remote. And that is necessary, and the organization who have been adapted all these communication means during COVID time, they're successful. You will be surprised that many organizations during the COVID-19 pandemic made a profit for 100 years profit they have done in one year because of the fast adapting with the technology. And some of the organizations, they are still struggling to survive. It depends fully on how quickly you adapt with the changes and the technologies. So these are the 8 areas. Any young leaders, they need to capture very quickly. And since Bangladesh and many other countries are enjoying the demographic dividend, means a lot of young generation people than the older generation. So for the country like Bangladesh, Philippines, and India, a lot of country, you have the demographic dividend opportunities, and you have to rely mostly on the young generation. And if those young generation cannot have this, the digital communication skills, then organization will be really suffering. And that's why I have jotted down this presentation for focusing the digital communication from the young leaders who will be our future generation, with whom we will rely our future and the success, everything. So these are some of the skills I have jotted down. So this is the end of my presentation. You have given me 30 minutes time. So I think I have finished within this 30 minutes time. And now I have a 15 minutes time. If you have any question, comments, I'm happy to answer. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Musharrof. That was really very insightful. And, I was struck by when you said success is no longer linked with your age,
Yes.
right? You mentioned that. And then, but on the flip side, you also gave some data that 82% of the employee population normally resist change.
Yes. There is
And
a this.
I think many years ago, change has always been, like normal human behavior is that we resist change. However, we have put so many interventions together in human resources so that we're able to manage change or help the people manage change. Now, I was looking at the 8 competencies that you mentioned. And so to my question here for you, Mr. Musharrof, is how do you upskill, or what interventions do you think should be put in place by the current leaders in the organization so that the upcoming or the near future leaders would be able to embrace change? That's one. And second would be, how will we upskill them so that they would have these competencies to meet, the changing digital world?
Thank you very much. It's a very, very important question. As I mentioned, that most of the leadership positions are now being held by the X generation or baby boomers. And very honestly, they themselves lacking seriously the digital skills. I can tell you, I have traveled more than 100 countries, so I have some experience. And what is happening, I see in many of the organizations, the young generations are ready for adopting the technology, but the older generation who are sitting in the top positions, somehow they are not ready. So I think what the board of the management, board of the organization, they should take a serious call and give a strong message to the current management in order to empower the young generation, in order to have a diversity in the management committee, in order to have a diversity in the board. You see what happened in many organizations. If you see the board, all the bald-headed people, all the white-haired people, gray-haired people, they're in the board. They have no idea what is the expectation of the young generation. So my suggestion would be, if you really want to survive, you immediately bring diversity in your board level. When I am saying diversity, it is not only age, it's a gender diversity also. Half of the population in any countries are female. If you see many organizations, you will find rarely one or two female in the board, and they are minority in the board, and their voice is not taken care of. So you have to, if you really want to do, then you have to bring the diversity in your board in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of religion, if you like it. So real diversified board. And I know few organizations, they have the management committee from representative from each level. But in most cases, it is all directors are the management committee. So head of the departments are the management committee. You have to forget it. You have to bring the diversity, and you should be able to pick people from different layers and different age, different sex, in order to really bring the diversity in the board. And in the board, you raise the issue how you will upskill the young generation. Young generation will definitely learn, but I don't know whether you are HR professional. If you are HR professional,
I am.
So what you have to do, you have to include this in the objectives, performance objectives. Learning requires some level of force.
You made a very good point, Mr. Musharrof, on diversity. And I think a lot of the global organizations have already put together a lot of these programs whereby even in learning and development, there is an intentional approach to develop the young leaders to become the future leaders of the organization. And true enough, it doesn't only come with age, sex, preference. It's diverse, even multiculturally in global organizations. And so talking about developing leaders, what are your thoughts on reverse coaching or mentoring? Meaning that the millennials in the organizations who are already in a leadership position would then attempt, or even we can put a program together to do the reverse coaching and mentoring, where the younger ones would teach the more seasoned leaders in the organization. So what are your thoughts around this?
As you have introduced, that my measuring at the master's level study was leadership. So I have some idea, I have some theoretical knowledge, and I also held many leadership positions in my life. My very honest response, this reverse coaching system or learning system is not very much common in the world. But in reality, if I am very honest with you, this present at my home, I am the young X generation. Whatever learning I have done, this is from my youngest daughter.
It's true.
So we are not behaving the same in the organization what we are behaving at home. The problem is, in the organization, I don't know, a traditional status concern work very much. That I am senior, I am the boss. How can I learn from a junior or from my subordinate? Many organizations use this subordinate. But I think nobody has time to listen it. Without any further delay, we have to introduce this reverse learning program. Why? Because when I did my study, even in Canada, the integration of IT was not there. But the the millennium generation, everything is with the IT and the computerized environment. So their exposure helped them to be in the advantageous situation. So I don't find any shame or any problem, but it require a 180-degree opposite change of the
Yeah.
attitude. So, and that
That's correct, Mr. Musharrof. I think that it needs a change in attitude and the openness of leaders.
attitude need to be changed, as I mentioned, and all of them are not age bound. That person knows better than me. Competency driven. So my straightforward suggestion would be, you need to introduce this in the organization, and if necessary, at the board level, the end needs to be addressed. And what I mentioned, that giving the objectives and KPI for learning KPI, what we have done in our organization where we are working, I'm working, we have asked that each need at least 5 objectives minimum. One of the objectives, no matter what is your position, should be related to your development.
That's true. And even I think in most organizations, and I'm sure you will agree, that learning and development is embedded in the performance management system.
That is what I exactly mentioned. And
Right.
we evaluate the development.
Correct.
And you may be punished if you have agreed to learn something, but you did not learn it. So your performance appraisal will be adversely affected, and you may be missing the salary raise. So until or unless you take and integrate this with the performance management system,
Right.
it is not going to work.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And this may be the last question that I have for you, Mr. Musharrof. And the buzzword in the industries right now would be agility. Agility. They're all talking about agility. And so, how can decision-making agility be kept in a diverse board or in the diverse team of leaders?
And in fact, since I also teach the leadership in the university, I think time has come to introduce the team leadership concept in the organization. In Bangladesh, most of the organization, top bosses are giving all the decisions. So what you can do, I worked for CARE Bangladesh for 20 years before this job. And CARE has also branch in Manila also. You have the CARE Manila, CARE Philippines you have. If you go to CARE, CARE Philippines, you have.
Mhm.
And I visited the CARE Philippines offices. And when I was working in CARE, I left CARE in 2003. I clearly remember in 1996, because of this problem that seniors are not, helping the juniors, what is happening that the top management, our global management, decided that you immediately introduce the team structure in different layer. So decision making is no more with the one person. Team will discuss threats and dare, and then with a consensus, they will make the decision. And even in the top management team, I remember a representative from the very junior level was also there.
Correct.
So that was introduced back in 1996. I can tell you, there's the beauty of the CARE International. It's a global organization which work 188 countries in the world. And so I think little bit of force is necessary for change. As I shared with you, 82% people are against the adaptability and the change.
Right.
That is not going to happen automatically. You need some source of force. So you have to dismantle the structure. You have to restructure the organization. Traditional hierarchical organization can be converted into team structure where maybe different team, and team will make the decision, and you can develop some terms of reference that how team will be making the decision. So even I can tell you, when you have a team, so what you have to do, that team needs to be reflected everywhere, even in the infrastructure. If you have,
right.
if you have a round table and people sit in the circumference, the all side, what is the power? Everybody is equal. But if you use the square table, then power may be in this side or that side. So you have to introduce the team structure. If you really want to empower the young generation, you have to introduce the team structure, and you have to give the specific terms of references. I am not undermining the managing director and CEO, but that person will remain responsible, but need to work collaboratively and take the expertise of everyone. I have seen in my life that there are people, the junior level people are more competent than the senior level people. I have seen it.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Because of the hierarchical situation, those junior level people never consulted. In the government sector, we have a seniority based promotion. I don't know about your country, but in the private sector, it is a competency based promotion. If you have a seniority based promotion, why I'll be working? I will try to be senior by spending time only. So we have to have a serious about restructuring the organization and introduce and learning and development component for each and everyone in the organization. It is what happened in most of the organization. We give all the emphasis for learning for the junior level people, whereas senior level people are not learning. And that learning at the junior level people is not going to have the organization.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Musharrof. Any parting words for our friends out there?
Yes, my last comment is that this is apparently a new topic. I'm sure that you have got some of the new insight and new thoughts. My request to the audience that this is not the end. If you ask me to make a presentation 1 month down the road, I may come up with something new. This is the speed of the change. So, and that's why we have to be ever ready for learning, relearning,
Unlearning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's learning, relearning, and unlearning. Thank you so much, Mr. Musharrof Hossain, for your insightful wisdom and for generously sharing your time with us. Next week, we will have a past president of Toastmasters International, distinguished Toastmaster Dilip Abaya Sekara, who will talk about mentorship, a key to creating a lasting legacy as a leader. And so keep joining us in our events and believe that learning is a never-ending journey with limitless vistas. And to all our viewers, please don't forget to click on like, share, and subscribe.